Hi, and welcome everybody to the Wise Guys Sports Betting Show right here on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. My name is Ross Benjamin. Some of you call me Harvey Keitel, I guess, what I saw. And his name is Jesse Schule, and we're going to be talking the NIT. Two semifinal games going tonight between Georgia and Seton Hall, and I'll be looking at the other game in that semifinal matchups. So in any event, Jesse, how are you?
Not bad, Ross. Coming off a bit of a tough Monday, but I still got a smile on my face because it's been a good week. It's been a good month. It's been a good year. It's been a good decade.
Yeah. So, Jesse, you had an 0-2 day yesterday, but you had a 10-2 weekend. So, and that's what I mean. That's why, folks, you should invest into guys like Jesse and myself long term, because you see that Jesse went 10-2 over the last 3 days, and then you get in and he goes 0-2. And now he's still 10-4 over 4 days, but the people who went 0-2, they lambaste you on social media. You know, it's like, what have you done for me lately? And it's sort of unfair, but it is the nature of the business. It's something we're used to. But speaking of which, at picksandparleys.net right now, across the board, folks, any purchase you make, when you get to checkout, just make sure you put in that promo code Lenny, Lenny, and you get 20% off anything you purchase across the board at picksandparleys.net. Not only myself and Jesse, but somewhere around 28 other great handicappers over at picksandparleys.net. Jesse, I've been on a roll. You know, I went 3-0 in Major League Baseball last night and 25-13 at picksandparleys.net. With my last 38 picks, which I think dates back to like the 20th of March. And yourself, again, I gave you a little bit of accolades telling people how you did over the weekend. And but you've been doing far in a way a lot better than that overall since the calendar year turned to 2024.
Yeah, no, if you go back to early March, Ross, everything was just skyrocketing upwards on top of the world. And then the first round of the tournament happened, and I got smoked. And I think I wasn't alone. I think a lot of people feel that way about the NCAA tournament. The first round was particularly tough, and in fact, I think moving forward next year, I probably got to be a little bit more conservative with my first round approach, because since then it's been smooth sailing, bringing a 6-0 run into the Final Four, back up there on the leaderboards, and a major correction, just a blip on the radar in the middle of March. But like I said, it's been a pretty good month. It's been a pretty good year. And we're certainly happy with the way things are shaping up here at picksandparlays.net.
Jesse Schule over at picksandparleys.net, folks, since 2024 has began. And I shouldn't say just 2024, because this guy's been on top of the leaderboards year in and year out, no matter what site he's on. And when he says he's winning, he's winning. You know, we don't make things up here. Our records are all documented, not only at picksandparleys.net, but other sites. So the days of people telling you to hit 75% for an entire year, if you believe that, folks, you're listening to the wrong person. He's telling you fairy tales. In any event, myself, like I just said, I gave out my first 3 baseball picks of the year last night, going 3-0, as I had the Cincinnati Reds plus 130. I had the New York Yankees as a short favorite, minus 114. And I also had the Dodgers-Giants game over 8.5 that landed on 11. So dating back to last year, actually going all the way back to August 4th of last year in Major League Baseball, now 57-30 in Major League Baseball since that time. So that's good for 65%. Folks, I don't give out big favorites. I very rarely, if ever, exceed minus 140. A lot of totals in there as well, as I'm 26-12 now with my last 38 Major League Baseball totals going back to last year. College basketball, we still got the Final Four coming up. We got the NIT tonight. We're going to discuss that right now. 19-11 run in college basketball, and overall all sports on a 25-13 run right now at picksandparleys.net. Ross Benjamin and Jesse Schule, you can find us at picksandparleys.net, and take out that card and make a purchase on some of our best plays that we put up on the site, and you'll be glad that you did. In any event, Jesse, all right, let's talk your game, Seton Hall. And also Seton Hall is playing tonight. They're minus 3.5 in this contest. What do you got?
I like the dog here, Ross, and I was able to get a bit better line. I got Georgia plus 4.5. But yeah, at first glance, you look at Seton Hall. They were pretty competitive in the Big East. Overall, you'd have to say they had the better season. But Georgia comes in hot, and their path here to this NIT semifinal was a little bit tougher than their counterparts. They're coming off wins over Xavier, road wins at Wake Forest and Ohio State. And Wake Forest winning, not a lot of teams won at Wake Forest this year. Can't remember what their home record was exactly. I think it was 14-2, something along those lines. I know they had that big win over Duke, stormed the court. Poor Flipowski almost lost his leg in that one, but he was able to recompose himself and make it to the NCAA tournament. But and then Ohio State struggled throughout most of the year, but after firing their coach, they were like a house on fire. And Georgia goes in there and wins over the Buckeyes. They've covered the spread in 7 straight, and Seton Hall, an easy path here, really. They beat St. Joe's, North Texas, and UNLV at home. And I think this game has close game written all over it, and it just looks like too many points. Seton Hall might have had the better season. Georgia's playing the better basketball right now. Give me those 4.5 points.
Yeah, I don't blame you. And I initially said 3.5. That was the line that I looked at last night, and I was looking at the wrong spot. So I apologize for that. It is 4.5, and Jesse is going to take the Georgia Bulldogs plus 4.5. And he cites the level of competition that each team has played in the NIT. And I agree with him. When you look at it, I like to use KenPom a lot, Jesse, for my handicapping process. Not a lot, but it's part of my equation. And you look at the 3 opponents that Georgia has played, and all 3 are ranked in the top 58 of all of college basketball that they've faced so far. But the other side of the coin, Seton Hall, in their first 3 games, they played all 3 at home, and each one of those opponents are ranked 78 or worse in terms of the 362 teams playing Division I basketball. So to your point about the strength of schedule, and then keep in mind, too, folks, Seton Hall has played all 3 games at home. Georgia has won their last 2 on the road, as Jesse pointed out. So, again, there's a lot to like about this number. Don't be enticed by the fact that Seton Hall is 18-7 in their last 25. And Georgia, they went into the NIT tournament having lost 12 of their last 15. Look at it as its own separate entity and not get caught up with those records. So,
just think about teams like NC State in the NCAA tournament, and how judging them based on their regular season record would prove to have been a mistake.
Yeah, and look at Alabama, the way they finished the regular season, and then they get eliminated early in the SEC tournament. So, it's about what you have to look at this time of year. Teams that have a lot of momentum. And the biggest mistake is to jump all over a double-digit seed maybe that pulled off an upset, because more times than not, that double-digit seed is going to be a little bit flat in their next game. But again, if you're seeing a team like Alabama or NC State and they're continually upgrading their play every time you watch them, that's something you have to consider. It's never easy, folks. And again, when you marry yourself to one type of handicapping, the bottom line is it's going to become stale, and you're going to become stagnant, and it's not to your benefit. All right, so let me look at my game, the other NIT semifinal, and that's between Utah and Indiana State. Indiana State right now is a 3.5-point favorite. Both of these teams won their first 3 games all at home in the NIT. And this game will be played at Hinkle Fieldhouse, not Madison Square Garden, for the second year in a row. We're not seeing the NIT final at Madison Square Garden, where it's long been. But in any event, why am I mentioning Hinkle Fieldhouse? Because it's at the home of the Butler University Bulldogs, and it's in the state of Indiana. So it's right in Indiana State's backyard. So I will go out on a limb, Jesse, and say it's going to be a pro-Indiana State crowd tonight, because I don't see a lot of people from a power conference on the West Coast traveling to the state of Indiana for an NIT semifinal. This is a lot bigger game for Indiana State and their fan base than it is for Utah. And let's not forget, this was a homer team, Utah, this year. They went 16-1 on their home court this year, but just 5-12 straight up on neutral floor and away games. And that includes 2-10 in their last 12 in that row, in that Rollers. Indiana State 14-5 straight up in away games and neutral site games, and 4 of those losses were versus NCAA tournament teams. They lost to Drake twice, they lost at Alabama, and they lost at Michigan State. So none of those 5 losses on away, or I should say 4 of those 5 losses on in away games were on a neutral floor, came against quality opposition. Indiana State also, this, if you like the underdogs in situations like this, where they shoot three-point shots with a high degree of efficiency, short favorite should mean the same thing to you. So when you're only laying 3.5 and you got a team that shoots the 3 like Indiana State does, they're number 11 nationally at 38.2%. They're number 1 in 2-point offense at 62%. They're number 2 in free throw percentage at 80.3%. And you turn that around in Utah, number 347 in free throw percentage. There's only 362 teams playing Division I basketball. They're number 347 at 65.2%. So again, I've mentioned this time and time again throughout the course of this show over the weeks and on other networks. You can't discount free throw shooting and the volume of free throws a team shoots over the long haul when handicapping a college basketball game. Also, Utah 4-18 against the spread the last 3 seasons, when they're plus 3.5 to minus 3.5 and losing by 7.2 points per game. I like Indiana State here, Jesse. Lay the 3.5 at Hinkle Fieldhouse in their home state over the Utah Utes.
I'm in full agreement with you, Ross. This reminds me of a conversation we had on Friday about Purdue and their game in Indianapolis compared to their game in Detroit, Michigan. And I saw you yesterday talking to Doug, and you were doing a bit of a victory lap about how pro Purdue the crowd was in.
Stop there. Doug is the one who said, yeah, remember that conversation and how important that was. And you and Jesse, go ahead. I just want to make that clear. I wasn't pounding on my chest. He did that for me. Anyway, go ahead.
Back to that conversation, though. My hypothesis was that the actual venue in Indianapolis was far more favorable. Even if it was still favorable in Detroit, it's not as favorable as Indianapolis. And I said that expect their shooting percentage to regress because they shot out the lights in Indianapolis. And then they were coming into the matchup against Tennessee, a much tougher defensive team. And my hypothesis was they're going to shoot for a lower percentage, which they did. They struggled mightily from beyond the arc. And I actually thought there was a very strong crowd for Tennessee late in the first half when Tennessee had built up a decent lead. They had some support, but they were silenced pretty quickly after that.
Yeah, well, there was only the announcer said it on several occasions. There was a third of the contingent of Tennessee fans as there was Purdue fans. And that's something, at tournament time, you have to take into consideration. And yeah, they did shoot a worse percentage, Purdue, but by the same token, that's a Tennessee team that had shot less than 40% in like 5 of their previous 7 games heading into that matchup. There's no doubt how good they are offensively, but if they had a weakness, it's once in a while they have a tough time putting points on the board, and they get by a lot defensively. But Purdue has a lot of answers too. So I don't want to beat on my chest about that, Jesse. But
certainly, I don't think Utah will enjoy a third of the support in this game. I think it's going to be all Indiana State support, and I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah,
so
and
I like to play
something when a team from the Missouri Valley in a high-profile game, like I guess you can call it a high-profile game, it's an NIT semifinal, is a 3.5-point favorite over a team from the Pac-12. So that speaks volumes in itself. And don't kid yourself. Part of when these odds makers made this line, that was accounted for. The fact that they're playing in their home state and Utah's traveling across 2 time zones. In any event, our picks on the NIT semifinals, I like Indiana State minus the 3.5, and Jesse likes Georgia plus the 4.5. So there you have it, folks, at picksandparlays.net. Don't forget 20% off across the board for any of your purchases at picksandparlays.net. Once you get to the checkout, just use that promo code Lenny. That's all you need to do. Lenny, Lenny. Very simple, folks. And don't forget the hot streaks me and Jesse have been on. So you want to visit us and purchase our plays, spend a little bit to make a lot. If you have not subscribed to the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel, take a second to do so. Just click on that subscribe button. And while you're there, go into your YouTube settings and hit the alert notification bell for Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. And also give us a like, folks. It's just a small token of your appreciation for the time, work, and effort we put into bringing you a quality show each and every week. Jesse, I wish you nothing but the best of luck this week. It's always a pleasure when you join me, my friend, and always makes for great conversation when I talk to you, Mr. Schule.
You bet, Ross. I do miss Sean, though, but we'll have him back next week.
Yeah, your man crush will be back next week. In any event, for Jesse Schule and Ross Benjamin, you've been watching the Wise Guys Sports Betting Show on the Picks and Parlays YouTube channel. Take care and God bless, folks.